Hey, what's up YouTube? In this video, I'll be showing you how to make a Pikachu house. This has been a long time request, and hopefully you guys really like this house. If you do, please give this video a like, give it a favorite, give it a share. I'd really appreciate it. It really helps the video out, and it lets me know that you guys like builds like this, and it inspires me to build more stuff that you guys really want to see. Speaking of which, if you do want to see some weirder builds or any designs that you might have in your head, throw them down there in the comment section below. I'm always in there reading what you guys have in your heads, and maybe I'll end up making it, who knows. Check out the card system, check out the description below. I've done loads of Pokemon builds in the past, so I'll be leaving some of those in there, plus some playlists that I think that you guys might really enjoy. But all of that being said, let's crack on with Pikachu. So to make him, you're going to want to grab yourself some yellow wool, some black wool, grab white wool, red wool. We'll also need some brown stained clay, some magenta stained clay. We'll also need some sea lanterns, and I do think that that's just about it. We might need some more stuff later on, but you guys know me, I'm really forgetful. We'll just have to grab it if we need it. Once you have each one of those materials right there, and once you've figured out where you want to make it, I'll be making them right here. You're going to want to kick off your Pikachu with a row of 4 yellow wool in a row on the floor. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. You then want to take this 4th block here, this left-hand block, and you want to do an up-left diagonal from it. Then go up on top of it by 1, go right 1, do a bottom right diagonal, fill in this little space. This is kind of like the outline of Pikachu's foot. We then want to add another layer of yellow directly next to this, and there you have actually Pikachu's foot, nice and 3D. So the front of Pikachu is where the long side of the foot is, so it's this. So you can imagine that Pikachu is going to come out as about as far as here, if you guys can imagine. So this is where the front of the statue is going to be. I just think a few of you guys would probably want to know that information. What you now want to do is this. So can you see where we have these top 2 inside yellow wool blocks? Well, we want to take these yellow wool blocks and we want to extend them each to the right by 7. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and the front one as well. What we can then do is we can actually make the other foot if we so choose. So add 2 additional layers of yellow, so that's 1 and 2, and then we can form the foot from these other layers. So we can take this first layer that we just placed and we can extend it down by 1 row. We can then take this front block, we can extend it left by 1. We can then connect it to the ground, extend it forward by 2. We then want to also add another yellow block here, so where we extended it forward by 2, we want to extend it backwards by 1, and then we can add another layer of the foot, and we'll end up with Pikachu's opposite foot. So we now have a base on which we can actually build our Pikachu. So once you have both of Pikachu's feet taken care of, you now want to come to the top front left hand side of the feet, and you want to locate this block right here. So coming in, you want to take this long row, and on top of the second block coming in from the left, you want to go up by 2. That's 1, 2. Then do an up left diagonal and go up by 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do an upright diagonal, go up by 2. 1, 2. Do an upright diagonal and go right by 6. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Do a bottom right diagonal, go down by 2. Do a bottom right diagonal, go down by 4. 1, 2, 3, and 4. Then do a bottom left diagonal and go down by 1. So you want to end up with a shape that should look a little bit like this, and it kind of looks like a yellow egg on a stand. Well, once you have a shape that should look a little bit like this, what we now want to do is we want to take this shape and we want to extend it coming towards us by 3 layers. So that's actually going to be 3 layers extending out in front of our Pikachu. So it'll look like this, and we want to start at the bottom here, coming out in front of this block. So we want to go 1, 2, 3. Can you guys see what I'm talking about? So like 1, 2, 3 from that block, and then we fill in the part underneath here. So this is like Pikachu's lower body, and then we just want to take every single one of those other blocks and we just want to extend them out in front of the statue by 3 rows with our yellow wool, and this is going to form the front of Pikachu's body. It's going to look a little bit chubby, and we'll also add a couple, well actually it's just 1 layer of yellow to kind of give him a bit of a better shape. So instead of just being flat, we'll add another layer of yellow in front of this, and he'll look like he has a nice body shape. So this is what it should look like once you've added your 3 layers of yellow in front of it. Now it really kind of looks like an egg. And what we now want to do is we just want to, starting from this bottom row here, can you see where we have this very long row down at the bottom? Well, we want to take the 5 center blocks of this row. So coming in by 2 from either end, we want to ignore those 2 blocks and we want to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, like that. And then we want to just fill in the empty space left in front of Pikachu. So you want to extend those bottom 5 blocks out, and then you can just fill in the empty space in front of the statue. So you don't have to add any unnecessary yellow wool now. You just want to have all of the yellow wool that you need to just cover up the giant hole in Pikachu. That's pretty much all we're doing. You just want to cover up that giant hole in Pikachu, and you'll end up with something that should look a little bit like this. So can we just see that now? There we go. Again, it's looking more and more egg-shaped as I look at this. I don't know whether you guys see the same thing or not, but that's what I'm seeing. Now what you want to do is this. So at the top left and right of the statue, can you see where we have like this row of 3? Take this bottom block in your row of 3, extend it forward by 2 rows, so that's 1, 2. You then want to go down from that second block by 1, 2, and then take those bottom 2 blocks and extend them to the right each by 1, so that's 1 and 1, like that. You want that on the left, and you also want that on the right. So on the right, we want to take this bottom block in the row 3, 1, 1, 2. Then we want to go down by 1, 2, extend those coming inwards each by 1. And there you have Pikachu's arms. If you like, you can also make them, they kind of look like fish like this, but you can take this first block in our row of 2 that we placed down, and can you see this block where we have this row of 5? Take this top block, extend it forward by 1, 2, and you can do the same with the other side, like 1, 2. I'll let you decide which you like a little bit more. I think this kind of looks like fish, but it does make it look like a bit more of a proper arm shape rather than a musical note, which is what it looks like before. I'll leave that up to you to decide. So that is Pikachu's body, or at least the front of him. Let's go and take care of the back of Pikachu's body. So coming to the back of the statue now, and what you can also do, can you see where we have like this separation between like the bottom part of Pikachu and the top part of Pikachu? Just add an extra layer of yellow to this top part of Pikachu coming backwards, and that'll just even things out a little bit. So like now the entire back is like the same. And what we now want to do is we want to extend the body of Pikachu backwards by 2 layers. So that'll be 1, and that will be 2 layers of yellow, and you just want to do this going all the way around Pikachu. So coming all the way around the back, you guys know how this works. We just did this on the front. We just want to add 2 layers to Pikachu. So we've already done the bottom part, so we don't have to worry about that, and we just have to do it to the top. So we just want to have something which should look like that. What we now want to do is the exact same thing that we did on the front. So we want to take these 5 middle blocks, so that'll be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Want to take those 5 middle blocks at the bottom, extend them out, and then we just want to fill in the empty space at the back. Or do we? So you want to extend those 5 middle blocks, then do a row of yellow, filling in the first row of empty space, and then we want to do a row of brown stained clay on top of that row of yellow. We then want to stack a layer of yellow on top of the brown stained clay, still filling in the back of the statue. That's the goal with this. And then above that, we want a row of brown stained clay. We also want to extend that layer of brown stained clay onto the side. So can you see the brown stained clay like here on the back? We just want it to wrap around the sides a little bit by 1 row. And we also want it on the opposite side, of course. So we just want to add this to the opposite side. And then we just want to add yellow wool into the back until we eventually reach the top back part of the statue. So until we've just filled this in, we'll end up with an egg. And it does look a little bit more like an egg on the back because it's got those lines on it. It kind of looks like a really weird looking Easter egg, or kind of like a Electabuzz, whatever. Once you've got that taken care of, you know what, we can probably do Pikachu's tail. Why don't we take care of his tail, because we are back here after all. So Pikachu's tail is situated in between these two layers of stripes, and it starts in the very center of this row of yellow. So just between the two rows of stripes, we take the center block with our brown stained clay, we extend it towards us by 2 rows, that's 1, 2 with the brown stained clay. We then go up on top of the second block by 1. We then do an upper right diagonal. We then take out our yellow wool, and let me just adjust my plan so I can see this, guys. We take out our yellow wool, and we do 5 upper right diagonals, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We then want to go up by 1, do an upright diagonal, whoops. We then want to go up by 2, then do an upright diagonal, up by 1, do an upright diagonal, and then go right by 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We then want to go down by 3, 1, 2, and 3. We then want to do a bottom left diagonal, left by 2. We then want to do a bottom left diagonal, down by 1. Do a bottom left diagonal, down by 1. Then 5 bottom left diagonals. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We then want to go left by 1 with the brown stained clay, do a bottom left diagonal. Fill in this little bottom block here with brown stained clay, fill in the rest of the tail with yellow, and this is Pikachu's tail. It's not exactly supposed to be this shape, it's supposed to be a little bit more lightning bolt-ish, but I found that in Minecraft you really can't emulate that shape that well, so it looks a little bit like this, and I don't think that that's too bad, and it looks good from the front. It looks very good from the front. You can see his tail right there, it actually looks quite nice. So once you've got his body complete, you've got his legs, we have the tail, we now want to take care of the head. So Pikachu's head's a little bit more complicated. We want to come to the top front of the statue. Can you see this row of 7 that we have at the top? We want to take this very left hand front block in this row of 7 and do we then want to do 2 upper left diagonals from it. That's 1 and 2. Take that second block, go up on top of it by 5. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then do 2 upper right diagonals. That's 1 and 2. We then want to go right by 6. That's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We then want to do 2 bottom right diagonals. That's 1 and 2. We then want to go down by 5, that's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then we want to do a bottom left diagonal to connect all the way back to where we first started, and there you have the base shape of Pikachu's head. So what we now want to do is we want to shape Pikachu's head a little bit. So to shape this, we basically, first of all, want to take this bottom row that we have for Pikachu's head, we want to take this bottom row, this row of 7, extend the 5 middle blocks out in front of the statue by 1, so that's the 5 middle blocks, knocking 1 off each end out by 1. We then want to take this very left hand block, and what we want to do is we want to create a shape that is 1 row smaller, yet 1 row outwards in relation to the previous shape. So can you see, we're kind of like just tracing along the inside of the shape. I'm sure you guys can see what we're doing there. So we kind of want to form this. And by the way, that looks a little bit square. So what we're going to do is on top of this very top row here, we're going to take these top 3 center blocks and extend them, or go up on top of them, I should say, each by 1. That's 1, 2, 3. The 3 center blocks extending up each by 1. That'll make a bit more sense in a second. What we now want to do is, it's pretty much the exact same principle. So we want to take these it's kind of the same principle. We want to take these 5 middle blocks. We want to extend them forward one more time. And this time, you know what, it is a little bit different, because we want to take this left hand 5th block. We want to go up on top of it by 1. Then we want to go left of it by 1. We then want to go up with the red by 2. That's 1, 2. We then want to go up by 4 with the yellow. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. We then want to do an upright diagonal and go right by 4. That's 1, 2, 3, 4. Then do a bottom right diagonal. We then want to go down by 4. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. We then want to go down by... I'm sorry, you wanted to go down by 3. You wanted to go down by 3, and then you wanted to do 2 red wool coming down. Then you wanted to go left of that yellow... you wanted to go down of that red wool by 1 with your yellow, then left by 1 with your yellow. I'm sorry that might have got a little bit confusing there, but this is what you want to have in total. Just in case that instruction was a little bit difficult because I realized I messed it up a little bit, you want to have this. Once you've got that taken care of, this is what you want to do next. So, we can see here where we have this row of 3, this empty row of 3 right in the center. Well, behind this row of 3 here, we want to stack a row of 3 magenta stained clay. So can you see what I'm talking about? We want a row of 3 magenta stained clay stacked just behind this row of 3 yellow wool on the second row. On top of that, stack a row of red wool. We then want to take this outward row where we have this red wool here and this yellow wool, and we kind of want to just like go all the way around the mouth area. So that's Pikachu's mouth. He's actually shouting at Pikachu because he's ready to do like a thunderbolt or thunder or whatever. We want to cover that up. And what we want to do just above the mouth, in the center block, this yellow block, we want to take it, extend it forward by 1 with the black wool. We then want to take this top row of yellow here, and on the left hand blocks and the right hand blocks we want to do a black wool with a white wool on top. So that's black wool with a white wool on top. Fill the rest of these in with yellow wool. So fill the rest of these rows, empty rows, in with yellow wool. And there you have mainly Pikachu's head. Once you've got the front of Pikachu's head taken care of, after we've made one very slight change, we want to do the back of Pikachu's head. So can you see where you have Pikachu's cheeks? Diagonally here, we want to knock out these 2 blocks and replace them with red wool, like that. Do that on the left and do that on the right. Obviously, Pikachu has pretty big cheeks, so just the one row of red doesn't really do him justice. And there you go. You have Pikachu's cheeks. Looks quite good. And once you've got the front of the head, like I said, let's come to the back of the head. So we want to take the shape that we have at the back of the head here, and we want to take these outer blocks, and we want to extend these outer blocks of the head, and we want to extend them backwards until it all kind of like lines up with the back of the head. So can you remember where we started on the front of the head? Well, we want the same thing for the back of the head. So we just have to do the side of Pikachu's head. It will take a second or two. We have to match everything up back here, but it is going to look quite good in the end. It's going to be a pretty decent Pikachu statue. We just want to line everything up back here, and I'll show you what we do afterwards. It's basically the exact same thing, except of course on the back of Pikachu's head there aren't any features, because why would there be? Because, you know, all the features are obviously on the front of the head. There isn't any on the back, but we do have to maintain the shape pretty much with just our yellow walls. So that's the back of the head. That's looking a little bit creepy looking at the back of Pikachu's head right now. And what we want to do is we want to then take the bottom 5 center blocks in this bottom row of the head. We want to extend them towards us by 1 row, and then we want to... You know what, actually, what we want to do is we want to add another layer of yellow, and then we want to start the shaping process, because of course the back of the head overhangs the back of the statue by 2 rows, doesn't it? It's not just the 1 row. My apologies. So we want to take that, extend it backwards until it's even with the back of the head. Then we want to take the middle bottom 5 blocks, extend them towards us by 1 row, and then we just want to kind of like make that shape that is 1 row. We want to make that shape that is simply just 1 row smaller and 1 row outwards in relation to the previous layer. So we just want to end up with something that should look a little bit like that. And that is the back of Pikachu's head. All we have to do now is just fill the center of this in. I'm not going to add another layer of yellow because I don't want it in line with the tail. I actually like this a little bit better than what I've done before. And I think that I'll actually keep this. I quite like the look of this. So we're just going to take this row and we're going to have that, and that's the back of Pikachu's head. If you want to even it up a little bit, at the top, extend these top 3 middle blocks back by 1 row, and there you have the back of Pikachu's head. It might seem to be a little bit of a weird shape now, but we're just about to give Pikachu ears, and then it's going to even things out a bit. So let's come all the way to the front of our Pikachu statue, and you can see that he's pretty much done except for the ears. The ears are going to make quite a bit of difference. So come all the way up to the top center-ish part of Pikachu's head. The way that you line up the ears, you either take the 2 center rows in the head, So it's actually these 2 blocks. I can see it just by looking. But can you see where the top 2 blocks of the feet are, like at the bottom? You can take this left-hand block and you can follow it all the way up to the top. Just use this logic. And you can see where the ear is supposed to start. And it's actually supposed to start coming out diagonally from this block right here. So can you see how you reach it? How you reach this block? I'm sure you can. Well, from this block, you want to do 5 up left diagonals with your yellow wool. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. You then want to do an up left diagonal with your black, then go up by 2, then right 2. We then want to do 2 rows of 2 black underneath this black, that's 1 and 2. And then we can take this top right hand corner black wool and we can do bottom right diagonals from it until we eventually reach the top of the head, and we should hit the head diagonally perfectly like this, and then we can just fill the center of this ear in with yellow wool. So we can just fill the center of that in with yellow wool, and I'll tell you what, you can also add another layer of material to that ear. You can, with your yellow wool and your black wool, you just want to add another layer of yellow and black to the ear, and you can just extend it forward by 1 row. So we just want to have something which should look a little bit like that. That's Pikachu's ear, and honestly he looks a lot better for it. Once you've got that left hand ear taken care of, let's come to the right hand side of the statue now, and why don't we do the same thing? So on this opposite side of the head, we want to take these bottom 2 center blocks at the top of the head here, and we know that these blocks are correct because looking all the way over at that other side, we can see where the other ear is positioned. We want to take these 2 center blocks and we want to extend them, either one of them really, because we don't have to do it to both. We want to do 5 upright diagonals from them. So I'll take this one and do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then with our black wool, do an upright diagonal. Go up by 2, then go left 2, take those 2 blocks, extend them down each by 1 and 2, then take the top left hand black wool block, do bottom left diagonals with your yellow wool until you eventually reach the top of the head, and you should just connect perfectly diagonally, and then we can just fill the center of the ear in with yellow wool like that. We then just want to take the ear and add another row to it, so where you have yellow wool, use yellow wool, where you have black, use black, and then it will just have Pikachu's ear and it will look all fine and dandy. And what we want to end up with is something that should look a little bit like this. And there you have both of Pikachu's ears looking pretty good. We are missing a little something though, so that is Pikachu pretty much done. At this point, that's Pikachu pretty much done, but if you want to, you could add a little bit of pizzazz. You could add a little bit of electricity. And I do mean electricity. You can take out your sea lanterns and around Pikachu's cheeks, in a pattern that you personally like, I'm not going to tell you what pattern, you might want to add some sea lanterns that kind of represent electricity. So I've just placed like a kind of like random abstract shape here with the sea lanterns, and I'm going to knock out some that I think that I won't like as much. And oh, I kind of like where this is going, and I'm going to have about 4 on either cheek, and now we have a little bit of electricity bubbling up from Pikachu. Maybe we want to take this block here and extend it up by 2, and there you go. So we kind of like have some electricity, like kind of like charging up around Pikachu's cheeks. That's the left hand side. Why don't we add one on the right hand side? So I'll place one here, maybe just right next to the cheek, and I'll place like one here as well, just not that far away. Ah, that's a little bit close there. About, yeah, there's pretty good. And then maybe like one over here. Here's a good place to put one. And oh, whoops. And I also want to place one probably about in this position as well. And there we just have some electricity charging from Pikachu's cheeks, and it just looks like he's about to use an attack. Maybe he's about to use Thunderbolt or Thunder or whatever he might be using. If you also want to add something a little bit different, I suppose you could grab some red wool, you could grab some white, you could grab some black. We could also grab some bone meal, wherever that is, I can never find the thing, some bone meal. And if you wanted to, you could make like a very, very simple Pokeball on the ground. So maybe like 1, 2, 3 here, maybe like 1 here, 1, 2, 3, 1 here, 1, 2, whoops, 1, 2, 3, then here, 1, 2, 3, here. And then we could add some like black wool around here. and then we can, with our red wall, maybe we want to emulate that shape. So we now have like the 3 here, and then we have 1, 1, 2, 1, 1, here, here, and here. And we can texture the ball a little bit. By texture the ball, I kind of mean just like add another layer of red here, just so it's a little bit more 3D and it's not just a bit of a pixel art. I mean, this is really simple circle. Hopefully you guys can make this. So hopefully I'm not going like too fast or anything. I'm kind of just pulling this out of my head because I didn't do this on the original. So we can have like a bit of a Pokeball here, and if you wanted to, we could then like light up the ball with sea lanterns down here at the bottom, and we could even have some sparks coming out of the ball. Maybe we could have some, like, I don't know, you know, kind of like around Pikachu's cheeks. You know how there's like a flash of light coming out of a Pokeball when you throw it? Well, it's kind of a similar idea that I'm thinking of here. You could have like something in that formation, or it could even be a little bit more condensed than that. I think that's pretty good. You might even want to add another block here on the front. There we go. I don't think that looks too bad. That looks a little bit too staged actually. So maybe here. That's not too bad. That looks kind of alright. Maybe put them a different one. And maybe like put this one up here, and then maybe add one like maybe about here would work. So boop boop boop, and then there we go. So we now look like we have some electricity coming out of the ball, and I don't know, it kind of just looks a little bit like a Pokeball. You could change it if you wanted to. You could make that the bottom part of the ball. The bottom part of the ball could probably be like one row inwards, rather than just like being completely flat. So like the white would be like here. And I think that would make it look better, because the Pokeball was looking a little bit like two-dimensional. It looked a little bit squarish, honestly, so we could just like have that, or you could make the ball even bigger. Or does that kind of look like a compass? I don't know, these are just ideas. You could add something like that in front of Pikachu, you could add some grass around him, and oh no, you have a Pikachu. If you don't want the Pokeball, then you have a Pikachu in the wild, or you could have a Pikachu just like coming out of the ball. I don't know whether that's better or not, coming out of the ball, and you have a Pikachu which is actually actually attacking somebody. He's actually like following a command. Also, if you're wondering, where does the house begin? So the house is actually like the entire inside of Pikachu, and I'm not going to show you how to do this, but I will show you the original version of my Pikachu. The idea is that you climb in the inside of Pikachu's feet, and that leads you to the inside of Pikachu's body, which is very dark at the moment, and we also knock into the head, and we have a 2-story house inside of Pikachu. So instead of just explaining it, why don't I actually show you the original version of this, and we can take a little bit of a look. So this is the original version of Pikachu. Why don't we take a look inside? So you can see that at the bottom of the left-hand foot, obviously I've forgotten on the right-hand side, that really should have ladders. At the bottom of the left foot we have some ladders, and it takes us into the inside of Pikachu. So on the inside of Pikachu, I haven't made it very much like a house. I haven't made it very homely, but I've added some cool things in here that I kind of just felt like putting in here. So here we have like a Pokeball fountain, like inside of Pikachu's chest. We have some hanging lights. I decided to use sea lantern rather than glowstone because of the whole electricity thing. I know that electricity and water is supposed to be dangerous, but I'm willing to take a chance. We have the plants here left and right. Whenever I think of Pokemon, I think of tall grass, so I decided to add some plants here. So we have some electricity for lights, we have some plants, we have Pokeball fountain. I think it looks pretty cool. We have a set of ladders here which takes us into the head, and there's not that much in the head either, but we do have like a little Pokeball themed bed here, so you can see that we have kind of like an open Pokeball for a bed. Whether that looks like a Pokeball or not, that's completely up to you. You could change it, you could make it look a little bit more Pokeball-like, you could like change the shape of the Pokeball so it could be like coming this way rather than that way. You could do no end of things. I have some inbuilt wall lights in the left and right hand side of Pikachu's head. I've also reversed Pikachu's face, so he's now kind of like looking at us and he looks quite happy, honestly. We even have his ears here. We have his ears here, there we go, that's hard to say, right at the top of the head. We also have some more hanging lights, and honestly, it's just kind of pretty up here. It's quite nice inside here. It's not a great house, although you do have some room. You could definitely turn this into a proper house if you wanted to. You could even have 3 floors, I'd say. You could probably have 3 floors because this is a very big room here. You could definitely have a nice proper house, but well, I fell out of there, but I like it as it is. I like it kind of like, I don't know, it's just kind of something cool that you discover instead of using it as a house. And I think that explains this Pikachu house perfectly. It's just really, really cool that you may discover in somebody's world. I think it looks absolutely fantastic. If you enjoyed this video, please give it a like, give it a favorite, give it a share. Let me know that you actually like this stuff. I'd really, really love it if you could show this video some love. I would appreciate it no end. Thank you very much for watching. Subscribe if you haven't already. Not only do we make like Pikachu and Pokemon related builds around here, but that's actually the beginnings of a pirate ship house that I'm working on. Very, very early beginnings. Over there is a water slide. Over there is a stables. Over there you might be able to see very far in the distance an Angry Bird statue. We make loads of weird things around here, and the only reason that I've made any of this is because of you guys, because you suggested it, because you wanted it. So please subscribe if you haven't already. Like, favorite, share if you wouldn't mind. Check out the God System. Check out the description below. I'll be leaving links to loads of videos and playlists that you might really want to check out there. I don't think there's anything left to say. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next video.